Hello, welcome to my channel. This channel's called Joey Sewy and my name's Jo, and here we talk all about sewing, life, knitting and that sort of thing. And this time it is pure sewing and a little bit of knitting because it's my what did I sew in January video. What did I sew in January? Well, I have 2 pairs of trousers, 1 top and 1 knitted top and a baby hat that I can't show you. So I'll start with the baby hat. I sewed a baby hat for a friend. It was a very quick project, but she is a big fan of the film Labyrinth and she wanted her baby to look like this. Or not hers, her sister's baby to look like this. And so she had easily found a stripy baby grow but could not find a hat, so we magicked up a hat together and that was a fun hour. So getting on to the more involved projects, I'll start with what you can already see because we might as well. So I'm not actually starting even with sewing, I'm starting with knitting. This is a sweater called the Seascape Sweater, I nearly forgot the name then, and it is knitted in the round. It's called Seascape because this detail here is intended to look like the tail of a whale, and I think it's lovely. So you knit from the top down on circular needles. I'll put a link to the pattern down below. I think it's a free pattern because I think it's via a yarn company called Biscotti Yarns. So I think if you register on their site, this is actually a free knitting pattern, which is always a result in my view. So it has sleeves. I was going to do long sleeves, but I ran out of yarn and I literally had to re-knit these. I think I re-knit each sleeve twice, trying to get them obviously the same length because I kind of wanted them to be the same length, but to get them as long as I possibly could. So I've got some of the coloured yarn, the variegated lighter yarn left, but I've got about that much of the dark green yarn. This yarn was from Woolfest last year. The dark green is a range called knit by numbers or colour by numbers, and do you remember those old painting sets you used to be able to get in the 1970s and 80s where you got a picture and then you could paint it by numbers? Well, they have taken that idea and they basically do a huge variety of colours. This is double knitting weight, which is probably the most common weight of all, along with Aran for a jumper, and they just had several walls of this green and then slightly darker, slightly darker, slightly darker, just like choosing off a paint palette. It was both amazing and overwhelming. But yeah, I got it from Woolfest, which is a local yarn festival in Cockermouth, held in, I think it's usually the last weekend in June or towards the end of June each year, and it's well worth a visit if you like things knitting. The last detail I want to show you on this, I'll just move the camera down, is the amazing ribbing. I mean, amazing, I think I did a good job, but also I just love the pattern. So here again, it's whale tails. How great is that? I just love that. So the whale coming up. I went to Canada in 2006 it was. I had to work that out the other day because I was telling someone about it. I can't believe it's so long ago. But I went to Canada and I've seen whales in the wild, killer whales. Oh, you do not forget that. It is incredible. So this is the Seascape Sweater. Let me move back. It's supposed to be not a true cropped length, because on me I guess that would be about there, but a fairly cropped length. Obviously you can do it in any colourways you like, and I would like to make this again, and I'm thinking to do it in a cotton weight yarn so it's more appropriate for summer wear. And I'm thinking kind of pinks and purples, or maybe blues. Haven't decided because I've got a couple of other things in my knitting queue and I'm not a fast knitter. So whether we're talking this summer or whether we're talking a summer, I don't know. But I would like to make it again. And it was actually pretty easy to knit once you got used to what the pattern was. Each row is essentially either all solid colour or 2 of one colour, 2 of the next colour. So just 2 and 2. So in terms of carrying the wool behind, which is what you have to do, you end up with stripes behind, and you're always carrying the one that's not showing on the front. If you don't know about knitting, you don't have to carry them a long way because that gets much more difficult and you have to stop them going in the wrong tension or becoming annoying and catching on things. So I just really love this. I used a variegated yarn for the detail because I thought that would bring more interest to it, so I could be lazy and just actually use one ball of yarn but get different colours. If you want tricks for how to be lazy, I'm full of tricks for how to be lazy. So that's what I did, and I love how it came out. I chose the colours really carefully. It probably took me about 2 hours, and I was using the colour chart that I've talked to you about before about my colouring, so I think that I chose very well, even if I say so myself. So that is thing number 1. I'm also already wearing thing number 2, and that is the trousers that I'm wearing. So I'm going to move you down and tell you about these trousers. So these are the Thurlow trousers, which I have made again and again and again, but I've made them this time as jeans. I added a little coin pocket. We've got jeans pockets at the back, so let me give you a twirl. They are a wide leg, kind of, not, I wouldn't call them true boot cut because it's not that whoosh at the bottom, but they are a boot cut style. They're very comfortable. I have made them a lot of times, so I've got the fit how I like it already. So in terms of making it for me these days, it is really simple. So what did I do to make them from trousers to jeans? Well, I think you could probably talk for a long time about how that works. Because when is a pair of jeans a pair of jeans, and where is a pair of trousers a pair of trousers? Because making it out of denim doesn't just change it into jeans magically, does it? Well, I don't think so. So in my view, there are a few things that kind of take you over the line between trousers and jeans. I've got the classic jeans button. I've got all the top stitching, which I did in a it's kind of a beige thread. I just played around with what threads worked. There you go. So I just played around on some scrap fabric with what colour worked. And I always use triple stitch for my top stitching. I don't use top stitching thread, partly because I'm cheap and I don't like buying top stitching thread, but also I've never had fantastic experience getting it through my machine. Whereas triple stitch, which is basically where your machine goes forwards, backwards, forwards on every stitch, it looks like top stitching, but I've always found it is so much easier to actually handle. So I added this coin pocket, which I drafted. I drew it out and I popped it there because I thought a coin pocket would make it more jeans-like. The V shape, the first thing I did was actually, let me get my bottom in shot, was do the jean pocket. So that's the jean pocket, and I had all these V lines, which I just played around with what I thought looked good. And so I'd established the V lines, and then I thought, I know, that would look pretty good as a coin pocket. So it's just single denim, and I slit it a tiny bit there so that I could fold it under and then top stitch like that, and then you top stitch it down. And you can see there's a little bit there where I could use some fray check, or I can just let it wear like jeans would. We've got belt loops, which obviously make it a bit more jeansy. We've got the bar tack and the top stitched fly. Inside here, the zip itself is orange, and the facing is some quilting cotton in a turquoise. That is, well, the zip is simply because that is the colour of zip I had, and I chose the quilting cotton because I liked that. And I've also faced the waistband with the same quilting cotton. So inside you've got the pocket bags. Let me pull those out. Oof. Pocket bags, although that's inside out because if you turn them that way around, there's the pocket bags in the quilting cotton. There's the waist facing, and there is the fly facing. So all of that is in the quilting cotton. So what else makes something jeans? I think back pockets, like I've already shown you. Definite patch back pockets with decorative stitching. We've got the bar tack here, and a lot of these details I have copied from the various pairs of Ginger jeans and Morgan jeans that I've made. I think the one thing that I haven't got on here that makes a pair of jeans as well is a yoke. So a yoke, if I show you, so here is a pair of Morgan jeans that I made last summer, maybe-ish, and the yoke is, you might know, but for those of you who don't, it's the triangular section at the top there, where you get this stitching line here, and it's the way that jeans fit to avoid having a dart. So these trousers have got a dart at the back, in the way that you would fit a skirt, so from the waist down towards the bottom, and that's how you get the curve of your bottom sorted out. True jeans don't have that dart, but they do deal with the curve by having essentially one giant dart from side to side, and you can also create shaping through the centre seam as well. But I didn't add the yoke into the Thurlow trouser jeans because I couldn't be bothered. If I'm honest, it's not too difficult to do. You essentially just have to take the however big the dart is on the trousers that you know they fit you, and then instead of going that way, you take that out, so you pinch it as if it's not there, and then you put the same amount of dart sideways, and then you draw the curve of the yoke, which if I had been doing it I would have copied it off another jeans pattern in terms of just getting the right sort of shape, or off a pair of jeans that I had if you don't have a jeans pattern. So that's how you would add it in. It's not as complicated as it looks. You just are changing the dart from where it would traditionally be vertically from the waist down towards your bottom. You take that fullness out, you add it back in sideways. It's called rotating a dart, and it is like magic. I've only learnt about that in the last couple of years, maybe 3 years maximum. It's amazing. You can do it with bust darts. You know, you can have a bust dart that way, that way, that way, and to a great extent, there are always exceptions, it doesn't actually matter which way the dart points, as long as it points towards the most protruding place, the bit that sticks out, the bust or the bottom. Yeah, it's amazing. So there's all sorts of design features that you can change if you understand about rotating darts. Google rotating darts if you want to find out more about that. So yeah, these jeans are the other thing I did. I'm going to try taking you off the tripod here. No idea how this will work. Is if I put you right down at my foot level, there is the seam. So I did a double stitched top stitch. You can see my toe. That's what the massive purple thing is. I did a double top stitched hem, just to kind of do a little bit of a flares vibe. Underneath it's just overlocked or serged, and then that double top stitching. And I really liked how that came out. It's got a really wide hem. On your regular jeans, you would normally have a much more narrow hem, but generally the wider your trousers get, the deeper a hem needs to be to look proportional, and also to help the trousers fall. So I made jeans, these jeans that I have on. I also made another pair of jeans, quite different. So I will show you these on, but I might as well show you them off as well. Sorry, it turns out they had a lot of tissues in their pocket. I had a terrible cold a couple of weeks ago. So these are some Morgan jeans, not the ones I just showed you, but some black linen Morgan jeans. You can see the window slightly through there, can't you? So they are much lighter weight. Now I say linen, I think it's linen. I got this fabric from a vintage store in Oregon State 2 years ago. We visited Oregon, and I can't even remember the name of the town. It was a tiny little town, and it was a cavernous second-hand junk store, we'd call it in this country, but huge, like a whole warehouse, and it was so confusing to walk around. The boys loved it because they basically just got lost and then would shout, "I'm over here," and they'd be 100 meters that way. It was great. And they had in one section kind of had a room full of drawers and shelves of fabric that had probably come from someone's house clearance or several people's house clearance. But yeah, it was amazing. So I bought 2 or 3 pieces, and I think this is the last piece that I haven't yet used. So I'm saying linen because it feels like it's linen. Haven't done a test. I could do a test. I haven't been bothered. It's definitely linen or cotton. It's quite a light weave. So normally probably wouldn't buy or make that this time of year, but we are eventually going to get spring, and then even summer, I have heard rumour. So there's no point holding back. If you want summer clothes, you can start making them now. So I did. So the pocket bags on these are some viscose that I had. I chose quilting cotton, would have been a little bit too thick. Quilting cotton is what I often choose for my pocket bags because you can use up some really nice prints through jeans pockets or trouser pockets generally, but I used some viscose because this is really drapey fabric. I wasn't quite sure how it would hold up to being jeans. On the Morgan jeans, you have a button fly. So those are the buttons, and that's the reverse side. So those pin hammer through to that side. So if you want to see the buttons, that's the inside. These have been worn quite a few times, so the buttons have started to wear to their shape, as has that one. I did all the top stitching details because I was following the Closet Case Patterns Morgan jeans, but I did it in a black thread because I didn't want to pick them out specifically. What did I do on the back pockets? On the back pockets I actually just left them plain. So I'll put them on and you can see how they fit. They are really, really comfortable. They're so soft already. It feels like this linen, it was a piece of fabric, it wasn't a thing like a tablecloth or, you know, a garment that I've refashioned, but it feels like it's been washed 1,000 times already. It's just so soft, it's fantastic. So I'm going to move back and you can have a look at black jeans. Of course, notoriously difficult for you to actually see, but these are the jeans. They're not wide-legged like the Thurlow trousers, so they are narrower. There you go, forward leg, forward leg. There are the pockets. Whoops, where's that one? There it is. But they're going to be so lightweight in the summer. There's my grey t-shirt underneath, you can see. So I'm very, very pleased with how these worked out. So Morgan jeans is a kind of boyfriend style pattern, they say. So it's supposed to be fairly straight-legged and not for stretch jeans. It's made for rigid jeans or linen or cotton. And I liked learning a jean style that didn't need the stretch because I do have some non-stretch fabrics that would be nice to make into jeans. And I just wanted another style of jeans. So now actually I've got 3 styles of jeans because I can make the Thurlow trousers, which are on the floor down there. I can make the Morgans and I can make ginger jeans, which are made for stretch and are kind of skin tight, not skin tight, uncomfortable, skin tight. So that is the Morgan trousers, Morgan jeans. I'm confusing my jeans and trousers today. So next up with what I've been sewing, I showed you a little peek of this in my favourites video, and it is the white jersey shirt. So I will go and get changed and I'll show you what that looks like. So this is a jersey shirt. So what do I mean by a jersey shirt? I mean a shirt pattern made out of jersey fabric, basically. And you can do that. The first time I realised that, I was like, wow, that's amazing. And now it seems so obvious, but that's what it's like with a lot of simple ideas, isn't it? So again, I'm going to move you down. So the style of this pattern, I got this from a company called Bootstrap Fashions, which again, I mentioned in my favourites video. So I will link to this specific pattern. What is amazing about this company is that it's a tech company because you choose the style of garment. So I was looking for a gathered collared blouse because I'd seen ones like this on Boden, and I'd also seen them in High Street Next. I'd seen it in Next. So it's quite a common style at the moment and I really liked it. I have had this fabric for 5 years. Yeah, 5 years I think. Again, I counted back. It came from Paris. I've been to Paris once in my life and the fabric shopping is amazing. That's not why we went, but I did do fabric shopping. And there's nothing particularly special about the fabric itself. It's got a rib on it. It is cotton jersey. It wasn't super expensive, but it is nice quality. But you can do this with any kind of jersey. I have recently requested some fabric from Minerva.com because I'm part of their blogger network, and I requested some, I think it's viscose jersey. I will confirm it and show you it when it comes, but some much more drapey jersey to make another one of these and see how that turns out in that fabric. So really any kind of jersey, as well as this pattern is sized for wovens. So getting back to what's amazing is you choose the style of garment, because they have hundreds, and then you input your personal measurements, very detailed measurements. So your neck, the length of your shoulder, the length of your arm, the circumference of your wrist, bust, waist as normal, but from back neck to bust point, high bust, low bust, natural waist, low hip, all sorts. If you're doing trousers, it's thigh circumference. It's just so many different measurements. And the reason you put all of that in is that 20 minutes later, you get emailed a PDF pattern that is to your size. And this pattern I made without a single alteration, not one. So it reaches the edge of my shoulders just as it should. Obviously things are going to change according to style lines of a garment. So some style lines, the shoulders are going to be down here. But if I am wearing it open, but if I hold it there, it's right on the shoulder line. And I have narrow shoulders, so normally that wouldn't be falling like that on my body. The bust and the hip ratio, sorted out, easy, no grading. It's just amazing. The downside is that there are little or no instructions, and so you need to know how to sew the garment already. That is not ideal. But that's how it is at the moment on their site. You could, for example, I referred to the Sewaholic Granville shirt sewing instructions and the Cali closet case pattern sewing instructions, just to remind myself about the order of things and a few little techniques about doing the collar, which the collar's not perfect. I don't care because it's perfect enough, but there's that little tiny notch. And I was basically rushing and couldn't be bothered to look through all my books, because I know there is a technique that helps with that. It's fine on that side. On that side it sticks out a bit, but I've decided not to care. So that's what this shirt looks like. It's kind of hip length. I think I did take some length off it, so I made a couple of style changes rather than fit changes. Again, I said a little bit about this. The garment that I chose had full cuffs, so it was sleeves and full cuffs, and the sleeves were a little bit fuller, so I just narrowed the sleeves down based on a sweatshirt pattern I had. I think it might have been the Fraser sweatshirt, again one that I knew was kind of the right narrowness of sleeves for stretch fabric, so narrowed them down and then made them 3/4 length. I used my current favourite stitch, the triple or the 3-step zigzag, although on a Bernina machine you can vary it, so it isn't officially always 3-step, but you can vary the width that way and the length of the zigzag that way, so it changes how many zigzags are in, how many running stitches are in each zigzag. But I talked about that in my favourites video. I used the same stitch along the hem, like that. I did do top stitching on the button placket. So I did the top stitching that you would normally do on shirts. I did minimal top stitching because I didn't want to stretch out the fabric too much. I sewed on the buttons with this mint thread, which I really like. It means it's still kind of neutral enough to be white, but there's a tiny bit of colour there. So the yoke at the back there, it's a bit wavy, the join between the body and the yoke. But once I'm actually wearing it and moving it, you can't really see that, to be honest. If you want to be a very, very picky person, then it might bother you. I know, you know, I would try to get a better finish next time, but it doesn't bother me that much. So I really love this shirt because it feels like a t-shirt. It fits fantastically, but it doesn't look like a t-shirt. It looks a little bit more dressed up than that. So I really like that. Now the last thing I'm going to show you is not something I've made, but it's a coat that I bought that I mentioned in my favourites video, and I didn't put it on. And so a few of you said, can we see the coat on please? So, yes, absolutely. I am here to serve. So I am going to put the coat on and I'm going to step back. Give me a second. So I got this from a charity shop slash thrift store slash op shop, to do all the international names that I'm aware of so far. It is a purple cord coat. There you go. And I love it. I said in my favourites video I didn't go out to buy a coat that day, but I ended up buying a coat. This has 5 buttons down the front, which I can't do up now as I'm talking to you. So it's got 5 metal buttons. It's originally from Marks and Spencer's. It's single breasted, so it's got a notch collar there and there, which comes to here. Then it's 5 single buttons, and then down to approximately knee height, as you can see. Ta-da! There's the shirt underneath. The lining is a dark lining here. One of the details I really like is these slant pockets. This is so difficult for you to see, but the way that it's cut is there is a princess line down here to the line of the pocket, but then that princess line just disappears. So it's some clever cutting. So this is how this dark purple, difficult to see coat actually looks when I'm wearing it. And that is the sum of everything that I finished this month. I have been, for the last sort of week of January, I was working on a special occasion dress because I have a wedding to go to in just less than 2 weeks' time. Dress not finished yet, and that's why you're not seeing it, because it's kind of, well, I'll show you a picture of how far I got by the end of January. Not very far, although there have been a lot of steps up to there, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you in a number of videos this month, is about my planning for what dress to make, how I came to the pattern, because I used one of these bespoke services again, but then I've also changed the pattern a little bit because even that wasn't exactly what I wanted. I'm very picky sometimes. And then I will finish the dress hopefully in the next week. Oh, the fabric is so tricky to work with. I spent 2 hours at the ironing board last night pressing one button placket. You have to wait forever for the fabric to actually take a press. So press down, hope it doesn't set on fire, put the wooden clapper on it, leave it, press the next little bit, and the placket is a full length dress that I'm making. So it's 1.5 meters long-ish, slightly less. So it's long, and yeah, it just took ages. It does eventually give in, but you really have to push it. And I'm not sure what the fabric is. It's the same fabric that I made my curtains out of, the lining, so it's a satin. It's very drapey, looks lovely, doesn't want to press and slips around all over the place. It frays like nobody's business. I would not choose this fabric again. But I am, by slow, tenacious, keeping on, I am getting there, but it's taking a while. So my videos this month are going to be about that dress and various other things, but the next video is going to be a fabric haul, and then we're going to get into talking about my journey making this special dress, because it is going to be very special when it's finished. It's just taking a little bit to finish. So thank you very much for watching. I will be back really soon. I did also tease at the end of my favourites video that there were other things coming up at the start of my favourites video. I think I did also tease at the start of my favourites video that there are special things coming up, and there are. Still not worked them out properly yet, so I still can't reveal them, but it won't be long. And I'm sorry that I'm teasing you, but it won't be long. And I really want your help with a few special things. So I'll be back really soon with another video, and thank you for watching. Bye!